The International Lifesaving Federation Secretary General Dr. Harald Vervaecke will talk about the opportunities and challenges of lifesaving as an Olympic sport.
Sorry, you see that we changed the program again. And it's because the gentleman, John, needs to follow me, otherwise the speech has no meaning. So I introduce, he finalize. That's how life-saving works. As was said by the previous speaker, life-saving started, in fact, much longer ago with the organization that is the organization Joost is in. That's the oldest organization of life-saving in the world, even before the British organized themselves into an organization. And that's the organization that invented the tobacco inflation in the anus to be resuscitated. You would be alive for less than that. So in 1910, I was not there at that time, we created the FIS, la Fédération Internationale de Sauvetage Aquatique, and in 1956 at the Olympic Games in Melbourne, the creation of the World Life Saving was done. And that was a special group that was fixed on the, there is a pointer here, I hope. Yeah. That was a special group created under the instance of the Olympic Games because they wanted to have life-saving in the Olympics, but they did not succeed at that time. And we merged this organization in 1993, and I was there, John was there, no, John was not there. 1 year afterwards, John entered, but the other John was there. So it's time for us to leave. Now we started with something like 30 federations. Now we have 178 because it increases all the time, and we represent something like 38 million lifesavers worldwide. So every day you have around 6 to 7 million lifeguards trying to save your lives. And something that you have to look at proportionality, which Jos Bierens said, is in the years 1950, maybe at the coast of Belgium 3 million people came to swim. Now 35 million come to swim, but the figures are the same. So proportionally, because we have all these good lifeguards there is less danger. But I don't believe the figures of the World Health Organization, because when I was there in 2014 at the presentation of the book, I asked clearly, why did you not count the real people that died? And you just were using statistics on the core dying aspects of by drowning. They did not use statistics on flooding. In China we had 7 million people that died by flood. They are not used in the statistics of, they are not using statistics on work on water, ships that capsizes, big elements that are accident related. They don't use it. So when we discuss the matter of drowning in the world with Dr. Steve Bierman, he said, if we take a figure in around 1.2 million per year, we will be much more correct than if we take the figure of the World Health Organization. And then I went to David Maddings and I said, but why do you still keep the 372,000? And he said, well, we have to. Because if we have 1.2 million drowning statistics on the table, then drowning will receive more money than malaria and tuberculosis and dengue and the other diseases which we have to use. We cannot. It's a pity, but we cannot. That's why we have changed statistics. So I don't believe in statistics. Just know that. Certainly not statistics where political backgrounds are needed. We are a global drowning rescue and life-saving federation, and we do also life-saving sport. Many federations are member of us, and when I started we had 38 countries, as you can see here, and we developed that up to now to 174. So from the beginning to now we filled some gaps, and we are now looking at getting Mongolia, we are looking at getting Chad, we are having some countries in the south of Africa to join us, which will be a good advantage for us too, so we are truly global. We have two elements, humanitarian and sport. No federation has this. We are the only federation member of the World Health Organization. No other federation is member. So we are recognized by the Red Cross and also by Royal Lifesaving Society Commonwealth. As you see here, we are having good collaborations with them. But in sport, we are in IOC, we are in Games, we are in ARIFs, we are in World Games, we are in CISM, we are in Master Games, we are in Commonwealth, and we are in university sports. So we are developing more and more to be in multi-sport games all over the world. Our structure is very simple. That's why we are simple people, so we are trying to remain simple. And we just created now what we call an academy, and that academy is something that has to be added here, and that gentleman there is the Dean of the Academy of Life-Saving, which we just created. We have regions with each regional headquarter, and we have our home, your home. If you want to just come and visit us, you are most welcome in our home. There are no beds there, but if you want to sleep in the basement, you can after having drink too much of a duvel. So, yes, we are welcoming you there. As I said, you have life-saving world championships and conferences. This is the two main elements we organize. Now, why do we want to become Olympic? As we said before, in the beginning, and you can see this in the wonderful book of studies, there was in the 1900 Olympic Games, there was one event of life-saving in the Seine River. And that was a 200-meter obstacle race, which was heats and finals. Only 12 competitors and 5 nations competed there. And the first one was from Australia, Frederick Lane. So he won the first Olympic medal. But that was the only appearance at the Olympic Games at that time. So they tried to get life-saving in the Olympic Games in '56. They did not succeed, so they just organized an Olympic International Surf Championship, Surf Life-Saving Championship in Australia, just at the period of the Olympic Games. And in some sports, the number of the number of spectators were much lower than those that went to see life-saving competition there in Melbourne. You can see which countries were participating at that event. Now, a person that is very close to Olympic spirit was this one, Viniegra from Spain. Why? Because he wanted to get life-saving recognized in the world. And he succeeded to do that because we were a federation. We were not recognized as such. And then his successor, which was José Pascual, he became also the president of Lifesaving at that time. He was a person that could manage with his friend Joan Samaranch, he could manage to get Lifesaving recognized by the IOC, which was a good step forward. So we got financial support from the IOC. That's due to him, and because of him, we had signed in '96 this convention where Lifesaving was recognized by the IOC as an Olympic recognized sport. Now, you can see that we had Olympic aspirations starting from 1956, and we had to look at Lifesaving our people in our family to see if we could move forward to Olympic Games, because our family was not always sport minded. They were rescue minded and humanitarian oriented, but we wanted them to approve. So we had to ask the General Assembly, would you approve us to go for Olympic Games? And you can see that in 2000 that was approved by the General Assembly. And then we started to create working groups and so on, and to look at possibilities of how we could enter in the Olympic Games. And as you see, we have then hired this lady. She was the main person in the sports department of the Olympic Games. Our president, we have the president of the IOC, who is had a good relation with that lady, and the president of the Olympic Committee of Australia. Why Australia? Why the focus on Australia? Because in Lifesaving is number 2 sport in Australia. The first sport in Australia is lawn bowls, where you have a lawn and you have these people dressed in beautiful white and just rolling balls to a target. Second sport is Lifesaving. Swimming is far away. Diving is far away. That's why we are focusing on Australia, because Lifesaving is something like inbuilt in that country. So we have a sport with a purpose. We want to increase the youth to come forward, and the criteria that we would have is on this slide here. You should have something like 75 countries that do life-saving sport. We don't have it now, but the criteria was not so important. The criteria was removed. We need a sufficiently long event to fill a session so that people can pay a ticket to go to see a life-saving event. We cannot have all the events we have at the World Championship. 105 events, we cannot. Otherwise you would need 1,000 people. At our World Championship we have 6,000 people, which is half of what the Olympic Games is, 14 days long. So our World Championship every 2 years is 6,000 people. In 4 years it's 12,000. It's more than the Olympic Games competitors. So we cannot do that. So we said, let's focus on the top best 840 people, and on one event that will attract something, but we need waves, because then it's spectacular, it's nice, and it is something that we can sell. So we had a selection out of the events, and we said, do we want to go in the pool? No, because FINA is there. They have the dominance of the pool, and we will just add one event for the pool which is not spectacular. At the end, sorry to say, but 1,500 meters swimming is not that spectacular. Okay? After the 2 minutes you know exactly who will win. We needed a spectacular event. So we have chosen a beach event, we have chosen an Ocean M event, and we have evaluated the pros and the contras of that. We needed to be present in military games, in other games, so that your IOC could see what we were doing. So we tried to enter in all this type of games, and now we are looking at getting involved in the 2032 Olympic Games. Why? Our World Championship next year is in Brisbane, Gold Coast. Spectacular venue. The Olympic Games 32 is in Brisbane, also with the Gold Coast. Spectacular. These people and the Queensland Lifesaving Society are very strong. We have good contacts in Australia, and a good opportunity for us is to enter in the Olympic Games of 32, which is in that country. So, I will skip this here. We have started lobby work already 5 years ago by meeting with the IOC, the Program Commission, and the people that have voting rights and that are in the Program Commission. And of course, once the program is set, then they will put that forward to the session. And in the session we have the president of this Olympic Committee as a voting person. But the core people that decide is the Sports Commission and the Program Committee. Thank you. Now, congratulations.